Now, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It's a rainy, cold, and windy day in New York, but in this container is peaceful and safe and happy place. We are continuing with our theme of the year, which is ethics, the Buddhist ethics, precepts, and how they are applied in our daily lives and how they enrich our way of being. Last time we had a wonderful series of 2 sessions presented by Richard Zipoli, in which he talked to us about trauma and trauma-informed mindfulness. And the intention for that was that we recognize that when we are providing instructions on meditation, on mindfulness to people who are not familiar with Buddhism or meditation practices, or even people who are familiar, we want to be cognizant of the possibility that certain memories and certain feelings might be triggered during meditation that might be based on traumatic experiences. So being as instructors, as teachers, being mindful of that is important so that we can recognize our limitations and we can act in a very ethical, Buddhist ethical way, which is to basically do no harm and to promote the happiness and to preserve the happiness and the safety of the people that we work with. And so to be able to, once we recognize what's going on, to be able to recognize our limitations and do the proper referrals to professionals that can help the person who might be experiencing re-traumatization through our meditation experience. Today, Fernando is going to continue with the conversation of ethics and how ethics is applied in our daily lives. And so I thank you, Fernando, for being here and always for your very insightful teachings. I'm always enjoying your talks, and I appreciate all the work that you do with us and for us. So the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. So I thought today, what I just wanted to do is do a review of Buddhist ethics. The Buddha didn't write a sutra on the specifics of Buddhist ethics, but he did write a lot on what is ethical behavior and what he would consider important type of behavior that you need as you try to relieve your suffering and go on your path to enlightenment, hopefully. So, what I wanted to do is give you a review of what we have on Buddhist ethics, then have like a period of maybe 3 to 5 minutes of just self-reflection, and I'll give you some questions to self-reflect on that are relevant to our daily lives. And then I want to just have a workshop, all of us looking at these questions and see how they resonate within us and how we handle them. How do we apply our own Buddhist ethics to these problems. So, hopefully we'll have enough time for all of that. So let's start first. I want to just give you a review. Can everybody see that? Can you all see that? Okay. So, you know that Buddhism has, many traditions. You have Theravada, you have Mahayana, Vajrayana, Pure Land, Zen, and each one of these has its own ways of doing things, practices, customs. The teachings are, there certain things are stressed more than others. But when it comes to moral teachings, there seems to be a common core. And I think this is because they're all based on the Dharma. Now, don't get fooled here, because, Dharma has many meanings. Dharma can mean things like, all dharmas are empty, as we just said in the Heart Sutra. Or Dharma can mean the Buddha's teachings. But the Dharma in this context is not that. It's just the natural law of the land or of the world. Think of it as like I described here, the principle of order and regularity seen in the behavior of natural phenomena. The physical laws that regulate the rising of the sun, the succession of the seasons, the movement of constellations. Every aspect of our life is regulated by the Dharma. It is neither caused by or under control of a supreme being. Now, this resembles a lot of how people describe the way in Taoist thought, and how American Indians talk about nature. So I think this kind of sense of what this natural law that defines what the Dharma is has in common with other traditions. Now, this kind of natural law. Now, it doesn't say that there is no supreme being, but we can go into the definition of what we consider the supreme being. Is it the Dharma, the ultimate, is it something else? But be it as it may, the basics in Buddhism is to believe in this natural thing that is ongoing and moves on, and we are sort of all part of it. The enlightened beings are able to see it more clearly and then teach it, like the Sakyamuni Buddha. But it's important for us that they are finding the Dharma. They are not inventing the Dharma. The Dharma is it's already, it's in existence for forever. So that is what the sort of the ethics of Buddhism are based on the Dharma. But let's go back to how do you find ethics? It's the principles that guides our behavior. What makes you make a decision not to steal a couple extra grapes when you go to the counter, to the produce counter, or to cheat somebody of an extra dollar they gave you back when you were coming out. So how important is these moral values or this kind of ethical behavior in the Buddha's teaching? Well, when the Buddha, I'm just reviewing the stuff this is all hat to all of you. The Buddha's first sermon He taught the Four Noble Truths. And the Four Noble Truths, fourth one is the path out is the Noble Eightfold Path. And the Noble Eightfold Path is comprised of eight characteristics, but they're broken down into three: morality, meditation, and wisdom or insight. The morality is the foundation on which you can build your meditation and develop insight and wisdom. So it's obviously an integral part of what the Buddha was teaching to get you out of this path of suffering that we are in, this samsara path of suffering. Now, when it comes to how does this natural order of the Dharma manifests in the world, in Buddhist thought, it's thought to be due to the law of karma, but karma is not necessarily, it's not a Buddhist concept. It was there before the Buddha. It's common to many Indian traditions, but the law of karma is that says that our actions is who we are. Our actions regulate how we are currently in our lives and our future lives. And pretty simple. If you live according to the Dharma, you get happiness and enlightenment, good karma. And if you don't, then you get still stuck in samsara. Whatever you do today will plant seeds that will have an effect on you in the future. Now, but this is not exclusive of anything else, because it is, people sometimes get stuck thinking that everything that happens to you is because of something, some karma from before. But the fact is, a lot of things that happen to us are just things that happen, like accidents or nature storms or a tree falling down. There's there are conditions that create that. So don't get stuck. Many people have been blaming their illnesses or the illnesses in their family on karma, but that's not necessarily true. So that having this understanding how important morality, how important ethical behavior is to the Buddha's teaching, even though he did not specifically talk about ethics in any of his sutras, how does the Buddha think? How can we live in tune with the Dharma, and how can we live an ethical life? So he guides us in multiple ways. First, we need to develop moral discipline, and we recited the 5 precepts of the mindfulness trainings, and they are an important guide of things of what we need not to do. Again, this type of teaching is not necessarily just Buddhist. It's also in many of the other Indian traditions. They are sort of guides to our lives that we need to go for. But they are not, as we know, not commandments. I love the way John Halifax has described it, is that saying that, we all don't have a clean glass. We all have all kinds of dust in our lives. And the precepts are reminders that our glass needs to be cleaned, that we need to keep working at getting our glasses clean so we can have a clearer vision of life. Thich Nhat Hanh talks about having the precepts be our ally, not our master. Don't get stuck just trying to concentrate on all the vicissitudes you have to go through to fulfill all the precepts. Just do it in a fashion that is comfortable, because that's how you're going to be able to continue that path. Now, if you are a monastic, then you have the Vinaya, that in which there are more precepts, more, and also a bunch of rules specific to the monastics. So that's the first category, things that you shouldn't do. But then there's another big category, which is things you need to cultivate, seeds you need to water. And most of them are guided to wait to transform the three poisons, the greed, hatred, and delusion. You need to combat that. And the way there's you try to fight greed by just practicing non-attachment, unselfishness. You be generous with your time and your resources. To combat hatred, you cultivate your love, you water your seeds of love and compassion. And to combat the confusion and delusion, you keep working in trying to calm your mind and trying to begin to see life a little as it is, and not as your perceptions or your emotions steer you to. Also, to cultivate these virtues, the Buddha talked about cultivating the four Brahma-viharas, or the divine abidings. We need to spend time trying to cultivate these characteristics, because we know those characteristics will lead us to ethical behavior. There's other need to go into detail on these four, as you all heard it multiple times before, but I recommend that you spend time with the Brahma Viharas on a regular basis. Another further way to cultivate virtues is to develop this feeling that we're here to serve. This feeling that we're here very interconnected, and we need to take care of each other. The way of the Bodhisattva, as so well illustrated by Shantideva. One way to develop this particular way of thinking is by practicing the paramitas. Again, I will not bore you going over them, but you know them. You have heard about this before. But again, I invite you to spend time dwelling in these. Another way to cultivate virtues is to become socially engaged. This is more of a recent interest, but the Buddha was involved. Sakyamuni Buddha was involved in trying to stop a war in his where the Sakya tribe was. The Sakya people were coming into some type of interaction with a neighboring kingdom, so that socially, and he became actively try to stop that fighting from going on. So this concept of being socially engaged that has been made popular by Thich Nhat Hanh, the engaged Buddhism, is not new, and it also we need to think what is the best way for us to be involved, and what is the best way for us to be able to participate without letting our anger or our self-righteousness take over and lose sight of the important thing, which is love and compassion for each other. So, and the last thing that the Buddhist scripture have taught us is, how do we use the skillful means? When can we use them? And who can use them? To what extent? Skillful means are useful in some instances. In other instances, you need to make what the decision that you make that you think is best for you. For example, was the suicide of the Vietnamese monks during the war skillful means to try to awaken the world, or was it something else? So the tricky thing with skillful means is that I think you need to be quite enlightened to be able to use it on a chronic basis in order to teach the Dharma. We can talk about that later. So what I wanted to do is have you look at these topics here. So how hearing about what the Buddha has taught us and what the Dharma is, how do we, each one of us, use these principles when we come to things like war? How do we deal with the problems between Ukraine and Russia? What can we do? Or you don't have to go that far. Go around the corner here. How about poverty, racism, hatred? We live with that every day. And how can we as Buddhists use the moral teachings of the Buddha to have an impact on that? How do we handle terrorism? When terrorists attacked on 9/11, how did we react when people were killed in 9/11, or people were killed in the Middle East because they were participants of 9/11? How did we react? How did we feel? What did we do? And then, there's a lot of topics that are morally difficult, and all of us have to deal one way or another. It's like abortion, cloning, euthanasia. The question of when does life begin? When does life end? All these are like questions that have no answer. But I think it would be beneficial if we could have some discussion on what we think the Buddhist response should be to all of these. I can tell you that the Buddha said when it came to war, they asked him, what do you think about the war heroes, or people were in battle for a particular country or not? And he said that those people who died in battle fighting would go to a special hell, because when they were fighting, they were intently trying to kill somebody else. And as far as terrorism, when Thich Nhat Hanh was reacting to what happened on 9/11, his answer says, like, we need to understand what brought these people to have so much hatred. We need to understand each other better, how people can get to do things to that extent. And it's not until we understand what happened that we can move ahead and try to make peace. So what I wanted to do, Alan Craig, is maybe sit for 5 minutes thinking about these topics, and then have a like a discussion amongst every one of us here about what our thoughts were. So if you could invite the bell, and then 5 minutes later, just invite us back.